guys, so today we have a very exciting review. We're going to be reviewing a new Colourpop palette that just recently launched. It is the Wild Nothing palette. In the entire collection, the only thing that really caught my eye and I really wanted to try out was the eyeshadow base, and I decided to pick up the eyeshadow palette. I ended up getting one of the freckle pens from Colourpop since I was doing an order, and I've really been wanting to try this. I just didn't want to buy it and not have anything else and then pay the shipping. So I was just waiting for a collection to pop up or something. Let's go ahead and get diving right into this. So I'm gonna go ahead and start off with the eyeshadow base. Now, I wanted to pick one of these up because these remind me so much of the MAC paint pots. And if you guys have been around since like the beginning of my channel, Painterly Paint Pot by MAC is like the best thing ever in my opinion. And the other one that people used to use is Ochre, or yeah, I think that's what they called it. But Painterly was more of like the pink base, whereas Ochre was like the yellow base. So you can see it does have a little bit, that looks like there's a cactus on it. And this looks so much like the MAC paint pots. Look at that. I went ahead and I swatched it on the back of my hand. It looks exactly the same. I wish I had the MAC paint pots so I could show you guys the comparison. I'll tell you, when it came to MAC paint pots, I loved it. I would use this with every eyeshadow look. Look at that. Gives a nice even shadow. Just using this fluffy brush from Farrah Cosmetics. So we're gonna go ahead and play around with this palette today. This is the Wild Nothing palette. It has little cactuses and floral print everywhere. And then on the back side, the names of the palette are on there. And then it's got like a little light green. It is a very light palette. So if you like more intense colors or you're somebody that prefers more deeper tones, this palette may not be the best palette for you. All right, so let's go ahead and do a little bit of swatching really quickly. The first shade I have here is called Crystal Cove. It's a very light peach shade and it has just a little bit of sparkle to it. So this one here is called Sultan. This one's more of like a yellow champagne. Next up we have is called Coastline. So this one here is called Top Down. Morningside, which is more of your coral shade. My favorite color right here. Look at how beautiful this is. Next is Alcove, Spirited. And Spirited kind of feels like a Super Shock shadow. It's a matte shadow, which is called Vagabond. Then we have Hot Springs, which again is like one of their matte shadows where they add just a little bit of shimmer to it. But this one, you can see, you could probably play it off as either a matte or a little bit of a shimmer. Like you can see that there's definitely some shimmer to it. So this one here is your lighter matte brown. And the last shade is called No Bounds. And this is your deepest chocolate shade right there. So there we have all shades swatched on the back of my hand. I think this collection would have been better suited had they done it back in the springtime, because that's kind of like where I get these like more Coachella vibes for some reason. Palette, we're gonna try to use up as many colors as we have. I've got my mirror because I gotta get a little bit closer. We're gonna go ahead and do an eye look using this palette. Let's start off with Top Down. And let's use that kind of all over the lid. I feel like this base dried down a lot quicker than I expected. That's interesting. Let's dive into another matte shade and let's go in with Morningside, which is that more peachy tone shade. It gives me like a sunset kind of a vibe. We're gonna take that on the outer corner. And let's go ahead and just kind of blow it out that way. This is a lot more intense than I expected it to be. I expected it not to have that much of a punch to it, but it really does. It complements my shirt really nicely. This color that I have, and really the only deeper shade I have to go off of, is this one right here, because I feel like this really isn't going to do anything. So I'm going to keep the brown for the lower lash line, and we're going to dive into some of the shimmers. The plan is to actually take Alcove, which is that nice pinky coral shade, and I'm going to pop that all over the lid. Let's try using it without any Fix Plus and see how that goes. Oh, I love how pretty this is. I kind of want to take a little bit of Spirited, which is this champagne, and pop this right on the inner corner to highlight. All right. I'm going to take a little bit of Coastline and pop that right on top. There we go. That's what I wanted. I couldn't get that color like I wanted it. I'm actually going to try taking, with just my fluffy brush, I'm going to take a little bit of Come Together and pop it right on the outer corner to see if I can just deepen it up a little bit, like that. I don't know. I'm kind of not a fan of that. I kind of like this Alcove shade. I'm gonna go back in with a little bit of Sultan. Really love this color. Finish up in the lower lash line really quickly. I'm gonna start with a little bit of Vagabond, I don't know how you say that. And I'm gonna run that on my lower lash line. It's a very, very light color. And you don't want anything too dark, but just add a little bit of color to the lash line. Then I kind of just want to deepen it a little bit more. So lastly, I'm gonna go in with No Bounds, which is the chocolate brown, and push that up against my lash line. Let me go ahead and do this eye, and then we're gonna pop on some lashes. So we put the lashes on. I just went in with the Daughter Lash Club lashes in the style Cassie. They are feeling a little bit difficult to work with right now, but I think it's because it's my first time using them, and I always feel like the first time is like the difficult time. Move into the freckle pen because this is what I'm super excited about as well. I did pick up the freckle pen in the shade dark brown. What I'm gonna do first is I'm gonna kind of make the freckles I already have more prominent. I'm just gonna go in with a little bit of pressed powder and kind of I'm just gonna start buffing in a little bit of powder so some of them kind of fade. Right? Yeah. So let's go ahead and talk about this since we are completely finished. If you guys are wondering, on my lips, I went in with the Stunna Lip Paint by Fenty in Uncuffed. And on top of it, I went ahead and added a little bit of the Maybelline Lifter Gloss in the style Stone. Let's start off with the freckle pen because this is the one that I feel like I need to get the most used to. I feel like I went a little bit ham, but I don't know. Maybe I didn't, maybe I did. So it's definitely one of those things where you have to just like kind of get used to it because it definitely changes up the look for sure. Like it makes everything look very different than what you're used to. And as somebody growing up that has a very prominent, you know, mole on my face, it's always something that I've always tried to cover. So enhancing freckles is something that I don't know that I've ever really done, but I think I could get on board with it. Maybe not this crazy because I feel like I went a little ham, but maybe just enhancing the little ones that I have here and there and kind of working my way up. So we got that. As far as the base goes, these bases remind me so much of the MAC paint pots. The difference between these and those is that those don't claim to be cream shadows, I don't believe, whereas these definitely play as cream shadows, so over time they will dry down. By the time I got into doing my eyeshadow, they did completely dry down. They didn't crease, and my eyeshadow on top of it actually did a really good job. It didn't like get sticky or anything. So I will continue to use it and let you guys know how I feel about it. Here's the thing with the eyeshadow palette is that I definitely feel like it's a much lighter palette. In the beginning, I mentioned that I definitely feel like this would have been a really good palette had it came out in the spring, but being that it was, you know, during COVID and we were all in lockdown and nobody was really shopping, I know people really aren't shopping a whole lot. I don't know if this was intended to be shot and thrown out in the beginning of the year and they just ended up pushing the date and then coming out with this collection now, or if the intention was actually to come out with this palette at this time. While it's a pretty palette, I was kind of hoping that it would be a little bit darker in tone. I feel like if you have a darker complexion, these will pop off really, really well on your lid. Like I could see these more lighter tones being amazing on a darker skin tone, but as far as like the mattes in here go, I definitely don't see there being any leeway. Like you might be able to play around with this, but I don't see, I mean, myself, even with the medium skin tone, a lot of these lighter tones are definitely similar once they get on my eyes. So there isn't a whole lot of variation for me when it comes to deepening anything up in the crease area, except this one and maybe a little bit of this one. But this one, I feel like this would have easily been like a transition shade for me. So, you know, if you have a lighter skin tone, you might see the variation in these colors. The other thing I feel like with this shadow, minus the green one, is I feel like a lot of these colors are going to be very similar. Like you're gonna get a lot of similar looks, if that makes sense. You're not really gonna get a whole lot of variation. So I find that for me, I like a lot of variation, so I'm probably going to struggle a little bit using this palette because every color I feel like I play with and I do will end up kind of being similar. Had this came out in the spring, I think this would have done this would have been like really something that would have enticed me and hyped me up and got me really into it. But now that it's like fall, I'm so sorry if you guys can hear my kids. The kids are running around. It's like 2 o'clock in the afternoon and they are just like, they can't handle themselves. But now that it's like fall, I'm wanting more of those deeper burgundy, more tones. Like I want to get a little bit deeper and I don't feel like this palette really gave that to me. So You guys let me know down below what you guys think about the palette or collection, if you guys did buy the collection. When I was on the website, and I mean, I was on that website like at 10 a.m. when they launched, or whatever, 10 a.m. my time, the collection itself was already sold out. Like I was on there at 10:02 or something, and the collection was sold out. So you guys let me know what you guys got from this collection, because I'm pretty sure a good amount of stuff was sold from this collection, and your thoughts on it already, if you guys have played around with it, what you guys think about it. As for any other collection, you guys let me know what you guys want to see reviewed next. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up if you guys enjoyed it. It really helps out my channel. And if you guys are new to my channel, I hope you guys will stick around and subscribe and hang out with me for a little bit. Maybe watch a couple of my new videos that I just posted right here. And thank you again for all your love and support. I will see you guys all in my next video, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.